Madman Joe's Audiotrocities, Episode 1, Criminal's Scum, by Swifto. In a tiny flat in one of Demonfield's nicer scum-filled council estates, there was an equally tiny kitchen that was just as scum-filled as any other, in this crummy block of flats. A block of flats that stabbed at the skyline like a hoodlum's knife, threatening the clouds to hand over their gloomy reign of misery that was the common currency of the weather of Altiof. Inside this kitchen stood a man of average height, but other than his height, he was no average Joe kitchen dweller, for this was Joseph DeMann, the brilliant electronics expert, super scientist, and ingenious inventor. His only real flaw was that he was completely and utterly mad. But he wasn't always this way. Once he had been a fairly level-headed and promising young scientist who had a whole exciting life of boring research and scientific papers to write ahead of him. However, something in his past had driven him quite mad and caused him to become so enraged at the world around him that his whole being became aflame with a terrifying passion for revenge. Revenge against the world that had turned him into the mental madman that he had now become. Disgraced and stripped of his old title of professor, all Joe wished for now was to get his revenge and become supreme master of the world. It was a simple and honest dream, and one that filled his every thought.
Yes, at last my revenge is complete. You're toast, old friend. Utterly toast.
The bald-headed Joe, in all his maniacal mirth, laughed in front of his toaster, which had just popped with 2 slices of brown, crispy toast. With his ever-frowning monobrow always pointing upwards towards the ceiling in an angry V, he looked down deviously at the thick liquid pouring out of something, drowning the objects of his attention.
Drown, you fools.
A sinister grin stretched from cheek to cheek, showing his clenched teeth as he maliciously threatened his breakfast cereal. He continued to pour milk into his bowl of criminals.
Everything is going as I planned, and soon I shall taste victory.
Joe poured in some Victory-branded olive oil into a frying pan of bacon, sausage, egg, and beans. Once Joe had finished cooking his breakfast, he sat down to eat his cereal first, before moving on to the main course of his very large breakfast. But at heart, Joe was just like a big kid, a big bully of a kid. He decided to start playing with his food in a mock battle, with his sausages acting like toy soldiers.
Die, rebel scum!
Joe devoured the sausage soldiers until there was only one left, which he gripped in his cold metal grasp of a robotic hand.
Ha ha ha! At last I have you right where I want you,
he said mockingly to his sausage. He then acted out the sausage's response, saying,
You'll never get away with this. Will I not? You don't seem to realize that I have the technology to destroy you now.
Joe then picked up his dinner knife and threatened the sausage by placing it close to his neck.
No, please. I have a wife and 3 winners at home. Please spare my life, for their sake.
Let me think about it. No, I think I shall kill you.
With his other robotic hand, Joe picked up a piece of bacon from his plate.
Not so fast. Professor Bacon, or should I say, Officer Bacon. I knew it was you who double-crossed me. That's right, I'm a cop, and I've had enough of your evil ways. Damn you, Bacon, but you're too late. The egg vortex has now been activated.
Joe cracked open a boiled egg, which sat in an egg cup beside his plate. He then waved his bacon around frantically.
Our men attack. Destroy the enemy.
Joe sliced his toast into soldiers, then picked one up and shoved it into his boiled egg.
The egg vortex, it's putting us in. Ah!
The egg ran out of the cup in drippy, gooey drops as the toast soldier was pushed further in.
Fear not, brave sir. I shall write an exquisite epitaph on your grave. You evil bastard. Silence, Bacon. You and your men are toast.
No.
Joe then devoured the piece of bacon with the egg-drowned toast. Later, when Joe had finished his breakfast, he sat back in his chair and patted his fat belly with satisfaction.
Ah, a most excellent breakfast, and a most satisfactory revenge.
He looked lazily over at the dirty dishes on the table and groaned.
I hate doing washing up.
From the pocket of his grey jumpsuit, he pulled out a ridiculously long and cumbersome gun, which seemed far too big to actually fit in his pocket. It appeared to be some kind of ray gun of his own invention. He pointed it towards the dirty dishes and pulled the trigger. In a moment, the dishes were shattered into a billion pieces, and a charred, smoking mark on the table was all that was left of the dirty dishes.
Finally, such a chore.
Joe's tummy then started to rumble. He put his hands to his belly and felt a great deal of discomfort, probably from eating too much.
Oh no, I think Professor Bacon is seeking his revenge.
He then rushed off to the toilet to do his business. Later, after evacuating his bowels, he looked down at the remains in the toilet bowl and scowled at it with malicious intent.
Ah, so we meet again, for the last time.
Joe then walked out of the toilet smiling. He headed back to the kitchen to tidy up. He ignored the tiny pebbles of broken dishes, the remains of his breakfast that now populated the kitchen floor. He shoved the dirty frying pan and the sink full of water and squirted bleach all over it.
It just needs to soak for a little, and then it shall be ready for its next mission.
After that, he went to put the box of criminal cereal away, but was dismayed to discover that the box was almost empty.
What's this? Vital supplies are rapidly becoming exhausted. Alas, I fear I must venture out into the hateful world outside to gain further stocks of delicious sugary manna. For if I'm going to take over this world, I must be fully supplied with all the essential resources, which of course means venturing into the most evilest place ever devised by man, the supermarket.
It was a typical Altovian summer's day. The rain darkened the sky, and a lightning bolt hit the roof of the supermarket, which Joe was now standing in front of, laughing maniacally to himself. Once he had tired himself out from laughing, Joe gained some control of himself and moved in a forward motions, putting one foot in front of him and then another in a rapid succession, in that odd way which can only be described as walking. By doing so, he was able to move his physical manifestation from one point in space to another and become an obstacle of obstruction for others who wish to obtain the temporary acquirement of a shopping trolley. With suspicion and disgust, he eyed the trolleys in front of him and wondered how to gain access to one without having to use a coin to unlock it from the chain which attached the others to it in the stall. Being too tight and greedy to give the trolley the coin it required, he decided to find another way to gain one, by stealing one. An old man was walking by with his trolley already unlocked from the chain. Joe decided that this would be the perfect weakling to steal the trolley from. He then pulled out his ray gun and stepped out in front of the old man with the trolley to point his gun at the old-timer.
You there, old man. Hand over that trolley or prepare to face my wrath.
Bugger off, you young hoodlum. I didn't fight in 3 wars for you young folk to threaten me with your newfangled wraths and whatnot.
The old man then proceeded to smack Joe in the bollocks with his walking stick.
Very well, old man. You have chosen pain.
Joe pointed his gun at the old man and zapped him with it. In great pain, the old man fell to the ground as the electricity surged through him. Content with his diabolical crime, Joe stepped around the old man and took his trolley in hand. He pushed it smugly with him towards the sliding doors of the supermarket and strolled in. Guy, a guy called Guy, was a guy, but he was also a shop assistant. He stood looking very bored while holding a plate of tiny samples of food. The morsels of food had toothpicks through them, with a sign saying, "New sticky brown sugar bits, free samples." He spotted Joe coming down the aisle and sighed before putting on his best fake smile and working up the courage to put on his best sales pitch voice. This was only his first day on the job and was very nervous, but tried his best to hide it.
"Excuse me, sir, but would you like to try a sample?"
Joe regarded him with disgust, and then the plate of little brown bits of crap with even greater disgust.
You want me to eat that repulsive filth?
Go on, sir. After all, they are free.
Joe picked one up and gave it a sniff.
Free, you say?
Why, yes, sir. They are free, from salt, fat, and of course any nutritional value whatsoever. In fact, they may even detract nutrition from you. Perfect if you ever want to go on a diet. And these samples are also free for you to try for free right now.
Completely beyond Guy's comprehension, Joe then swung the little piece of junk food back down onto the plate in anger.
What are you trying to say, boy? You dare say that I should go on a diet?
Well, no. All I'm saying is that they have no fat and only the most artificial sugars, so they are good for anyone who did need to go on a diet. But of course, you don't, sir.
What? No fat, you say? Then how will they help maintain this beautiful physique of mine?
Well, I don't know, sir.
Foolish fool! For your insolence you shall pay.
Joe pulled out his ray gun again, and just as he did with the old man outside the shop, he zapped Guy, who then collapsed to the ground, wriggling in a spasm of pain as the shock surged through his nervous system.
Perhaps you'll think twice the next time you dare cross the path of your future ruler, I, the mighty Joseph the Man.
Guy, now lying on the ground, burned, smoke coming from his blackened clothes, was too weak to run away or even get back up onto his feet. Joe knelt down to examine the free samples more closely. He picked one up and popped it in his mouth, chewing it thoughtfully, carefully considering what he thought of the taste.
Not bad. You have a sale, boy. I'll take this batch of free samples to go, pack my trolley and then be gone.
I would, sir, but I'm having trouble moving my burnt flesh off the ground.
Enraged, Joe stood back up straight and pointed his gun directly down at Guy's head.
I said pack my trolley, boy, or I'll call for your manager.
No, not the manager. Please, anything but that. Just shoot me again. Get it over with.
Do as I say, fool, and I shall spare you.
Yes, sir. The customer's always right.
A little later on, with his trolley containing several items, including a fresh box of sticky brown sugar bits, Joe made his way to the cereal section of the supermarket. His eyes lit up with delight when he spotted what he had come in for, a box of Criminal's cereal.
Ah, at last my main prize which I've been searching for. And it's the last of its kind, too.
Joe walked over and went to pick up the last remaining box of Criminals from the store shelf. But just as he laid his shiny metal claw-like hand on the box, another much larger, far hairier hand also took grip of the other side of the box. A big hairy beast of a man was holding the other side of the box. He was almost all muscle and hair. His great big tattooed biceps were like a forest of scruffy black hair, and his great big beard dangled down from his face like a giant's ballsack. He looked at Joe with wild, angry eyes, and he spoke with a tough, gravelly voice.
I think you better drop that, pal.
Without so much as a slight flinch, Joe coolly slid out his ray gun once more and effortlessly aimed it directly between the big man's eyes.
I think you better drop it, Morlock.
Suddenly the big man let go of the box and put his hands in the air. He dropped his tough guy voice and began to sound really high and timid, showing his true colours as a big softy coward. All right, calm down, I don't want any trouble.
One more addition to my ever-growing empire.
Joe put the cereal in his trolley and moved on with an air of smugitude on his smiling face. As he continued to stroll through the shop, picking up this item or that item, putting one thing back for another that he liked better, he made sure not to put the items that he looked at back where they were, just to annoy the shop assistants, who would have to spend hours later sorting out his path of destruction. But his little amusements came to a grinding halt when he got to the tinned food section of the shop and couldn't decide which brand of tinned sweet corn he liked best.
Which one should I pick?
He pondered on the difficult choice he had to make. Like all who aspire to be great and mighty leaders, Joe had to take great care to make sure that he made the right choices in life, if he was to be a strong and unquestionable leader of great might and glory, as he always dreamed of. The choice he had to make was between choosing the supermarket's own brand, simply called sweet corn, or the cutesy, slightly higher market brand called cute corn. He looked more closely at the cute corn.
Well, this one does seem more evil.
On the other side of the aisle, a very stressed-out mother with her bratty little child was trying very hard to keep her sanity with the annoying little child who just wouldn't shut up and kept on asking her for this and that and anything else that took his fancy.
Mom, can I get this? Mom, can I get this? Mom, can I get this? Mom, Mom, can I get this? Mom, can I get this? Can I? Please, Mom, can I get this? Mom, can I get this? Mom, please, can I get this? Mom, can I?
Oh, cease this incessant racket.
Infuriated by the little brat's constant chatter, the short-fused Joe pulled out his gun and once more used it to resolve another situation that he had no imagination to deal with in any other way. He zapped the brat and he went down to the ground, twitching from the electricity.
Ah, what have you done to my baby?
The stressed mother cried out when she saw her annoying little brat lying on the ground twitching.
I'm sorry, madame, but if you cannot control your hellspawn, you don't deserve to have one.
Joe moved on, and with all his shopping obtained, he proceeded to the checkouts to get his things packed up in bags. The cashier scanned Joe's things through, and then gave him the total price of his shopping.
Okay, sir, that will be $23.59.
All right, my humble peasant. Let me just slowly reach for my credit card.
Joe had no intentions of paying for his shopping. In fact, he didn't even have a credit card. His plan was to once again whip out his ray gun, stun the cashier, and run off with his bags of shopping. However, just as he was about to get his gun out, he spotted a security guard coming towards him with 4 other, very angry-looking people. It was the old man, Guy the shop assistant, the stressed-out mother, and her annoying brat. The wee brat pointed towards Joe and yelled out,
That's him over there.
That's him, alright. By golly, I didn't fight in 6 wars just to be pushed around by the likes of him. Grab him!
The security guard took out a walkie-talkie and talked into it while moving closer to Joe.
Get the police! We've got a suspect over there!
Joe quickly grabbed all his bags of shopping and one bear hug and smiled at the cashier.
Got to go.
Hey!
Joe then made a mad dash away from the angry little mob of people towards the front door. The small gang of irate humans ran past the cashier in a pursuit of Joe.
Quick, he's using his legs to make a getaway.
The security guard chased Joe through the shop, rapidly gaining ground, but Joe pulled over a display of sticky brown sugar bits boxes to make it harder for the guard to chase after him.
Stop right there, criminal scum!
You'll never catch me.
Stuff flew out of Joe's bags as he frantically ran away. He bumped into several people, knocking over an old lady and making one guy fall into an open freezer of Sticky Brown Sugar Bits branded ice creams called Sticky Brown's Creamy Logs. Joe nearly tripped and fell over one of his own bags, which he had dropped in the chaos. As the other bags bounced around in front of his face, he spotted the sliding doors of the supermarket's entrance and was glad that his race for freedom was almost at an end.
Yes, sweet victory, here I come. Nothing in the world can stop I, the great and mighty Joseph.
There was a large thud as the sliding doors failed to open for him and his face smashed into the glass of the door. His shopping bags burst like fireworks and scattered their contents around his body, which began to slide down the side of the glass door. The pain rendered Joe temporarily senseless. He knew the game was over now, so he just let himself slide.
Bugger!
He exclaimed softly. The security guard soon caught up with him, and Joe was then arrested and taken down to the police station. But he would be back again all too soon, always hungry for the taste of revenge, and the sweeter taste of criminals, the criminally satisfying cereal that you would have to be criminally insane to pass up. Criminals can be bought at any good or bad supermarket near you. When you have a criminal craving for the very best cereal, snatch yourself a box of Criminals. Criminals, proud sponsors of Madman Joe's Audio Atrocities.